Alright, so this is our first video being out of school. I'm going to keep doing these videos to show you what you should be working on. It's going to keep you on track for when we go back to school. So today's video is over area of triangles. Alright, so if you have your spiral, go ahead and do your notes in your spiral. If you don't, any paper will work. I know a few of you did leave your spiral at the school and I can't get in to get them, so we're just going to have to do the best we can. We do have a few formulas we're going to go over. The first one is just for general triangles. So you need to know in your formulas, if you have a big A like this, it stands for area. If you have a little b, that stands for the base, and the h stands for height. So for general triangles, if you are given the base, if you're given the height, you can use this formula. You'll multiply the base and the height together and then divide that by 2. So here's the first example we're going to do. I ask you to find the area of this triangle. In this example, I give you 6 inches and 3.5 inches. 3.5 is on the bottom, meaning this is our base. And 6 inches, that goes from the top of the triangle all the way to the bottom. So that tells you this is our height. So I have my formula of base times height divided by 2. So I'm going to plug it into my formula. My base is 3.5. So I'm going to take 3.5. I'm going to multiply by my height, which is 6. And then I'm going to divide that by 2 to find my area. So 3.5 times 6 does give me 21. My last step is to divide 21 by 2. And when I do that, I find out that my area is 10.5. The second example I give you the height here, which is 16. It goes from the top of the triangle down to the bottom. So I know this is my height. But when I look at it, I give you 2 measurements along the base of the triangle. So what you have to do with 12 and 12, we first have to add them together to get my total base. So 12 plus 12 does equal 24. So I know my base is going to be 24. So again, I'm given the base, I'm given the height, I'm going to plug it into my formula. I'm going to do 24 times 16 and then divide that all by 2. If you have a calculator, you can go and plug it in, or if you need to do it by hand, that's fine too. So for your total area, you should find that it ends up being 192, and for our units, it would be inches squared. The next formula for area of triangles we're going to cover is equilateral triangles. Sometimes you are not given the base and the height, but you are given an equilateral triangle and I give you one side. Remember, equilateral have all 3 sides the same. So your formula for that is, again, the area is equal to the square root of 3 over 4, and then I have this s squared, and all s stands for in this formula is the side. Remember, we only need one side length because all 3 are the same. So here in your example 3, I ask you to find the area of an equilateral triangle with side lengths of 14. So if I was to draw that, I would have a triangle. Remember, tick marks mean that all sides are the same. If I said that one of them is 14, you have to remember that all 3 are also 14. So I'm going to take that formula we just found. Area is equal to the square root of 3 divided by 4, and then you have s squared. I'm now going to fill in the information I'm given. I was given 14, and in our formula, this is going to be put in place of the s. So area is equal to square root of 3 over 4 times 14 squared. Whenever I do 14 squared, that turns into 196. I'm going to put it on the top with the square root of 3 because it's multiplying, and I still have divided by 4. If this is as far as you can get because you don't have a calculator or something like that, or you didn't download the calculator I gave you the link to, that's fine. I'll take this answer for now. But you should go and do 196 divided by 4. So your final answer for the area should give you 49 root 3. If I ask you for the exact answer, you need to make sure you have the square root of 3 in it. If I ask you for an approximate answer, that's when you would give me the decimal. If I don't specify, usually the exact answer is easier, but it is up to you. So what we're going to talk about next is something called Heron's formula, and you're going to use this when 3 sides of a triangle are given to you. We don't know if it's a right triangle, we don't really know what it is, but I give you all 3 sides. This still is focusing on finding the area of triangles, so your first step in this, you have to find what we call S. What that does is we take all 3 sides, so A, B, and C, remember those are just referring to the sides of the triangle. You're going to add them together and then divide it by 2. Now to find the actual area of that triangle, you're going to take that s, you're putting it under the square root, we're multiplying it, and we are subtracting each of the sides from s. So all you need to do is make sure you have this formula. You'll plug it all in. Right now, if you don't have a calculator that reduces the radicals, that's fine. The decimal answer is fine. Or if you just want to plug it in, that works as well. So an example would be something like this. It can be in words or drawing. I tell you to find the area of a triangle with side lengths 23, 46, and 41. Your first step, like I told you, is to find that s. Remember, s, we take all three sides, so I have 23. I'm going to add it to 46, and then I'm going to add it to the third one, 41, and we're going to divide that by 2 or split it in half. So when I add 23, 46, and 41, I end up with 110 divided by 2. And when I take 110 and I divide it by 2, I end up with 55. So to find the actual formula, I use that second one I gave you. I gave you the first step. This is the second step. So every place there is an s, we're going to put 55. So I have 55 times. And now a, b, and c are just your sides. So I have 55 minus 23 times 55 minus 46 times 55 minus 41. And that's all underneath the square root sign. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plug this into my calculator. When I do that, I take the square root of everything. I end up with 470.914. Again, if you can only get the reduced radical, if you can do it by hand, whatever works. If you can go all the way to the decimal, that's fine too. And the last thing I want to talk about today is working backwards. This is when I tell you something like the area of a triangle is this, and I give you the base and I ask you to find the height, or I ask you to find something missing. I'm not asking you to plug in numbers and find the area. So first, you need to decide which formula to use. If I'm asking for base and height, it's the regular area formula. If I give you an equilateral, you need to make sure you're using that formula, something like that. Step 2 is to then go and fill in the given info from the word problem. Step 3, solve for the missing variable. And step 4 is really important. It'll be more important with circles, but you need to make sure you pay attention to what the question asks for. So example 5 says the area of a triangle is 216 inches. If the height of the triangle is 18 inches, find the length of the base. So in this, what's really important, I have area, I have height, and I have base. So this tells me I can do the area is equal to base times height divided by 2. Alright, so I'm not going to fill in the given information. I know my area is 216. And that is equal to, I don't know my base, so I'm going to leave it as b. I know my height is 18, and it's still divided by 2. So in this, I'm just going to kind of rewrite it to look a little more friendly. You have 216 is equal to 18b divided by 2. This now looks like a proportion where I can cross multiply. So I'm going to do 216 times 2, and that leaves me with 432. And it's equal to 18b times 1 is just 18b. And my last step here to find b and get b by itself is to divide both sides by 18. So that leaves me with my base being 24. So in this example, I asked you to find the base. You always want to go back and check and make sure. And that is what we found. So you are done with this question. So this is the end of the notes. I am uploading an assignment that you can work on and practice all this stuff on. Remember, I will be having office hours on Wednesday and Friday of this week, so it's on Zoom. If you have any questions or if you just want me to work through some of the problems with you, you can join that. I'll work them. If you have any questions, you can always text me on Remind or hit me up on Google Classroom.